Welcome everyone. Today I have the honor and privilege to welcome the creator of the DEEMS device. The DEEMS device I've been telling you about already. We are going to talk about this mysterious and intriguing device. But first of all, I may introduce you to Chris O'Connor. Chris, how are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone.
Chris, you are a gift to humanity because of these devices you've created. Well, this device, which we are going to talk about, it came from a story. There is a story behind this device.
Yeah.
And it is going to be amazing. Please, because I know a little bit, where did you get the inspiration to create this device? How did the story begin, please?
Well, that's a multifaceted answer for that, but to make it simple, I was in meditation a little over a year ago, actually, and I received this download. And this download was, I knew instantly everything about the device. I knew how it worked, how to build it, what makes it tick, and all the details just instantly came in. And so I started to develop it. And then some months later, I remembered that actually the download wasn't necessarily new information. It was information that I'd already had. It was a memory download from when I was in the secret space program, and I used this device. I used it to do things that I wish we hadn't had to do. But this device, the way it was given to me in the memory was I could take a device that was used for fairly negative purposes, that being that they used it to extract memories. And they also used it to pull the consciousness from the pineal gland. And they could do that with the devices used in the SSP. But this device can't do that. It's built in a way that it's very gentle to the human body and energy system and physical body, and it won't extract anything from you. It only allows information, or energy. It only allows energy to flow so that your body can use that flow of energy versus forcing the body to do something, as in forget. So.
Okay.
So that's where it came from. So I feel like there's more detail to that, obviously, but.
Yes. Yeah. So you remembered what you had first. It came first, the story begins with a meditation, and then you have, well, memories.
Yes.
That's it?
Yes, that came through.
And when did you realize these memories were linked with secret space programs? How did this unfold? What were the first memories of these secret space programs? How you got in it?
Well, when I was 2 years old, I was taken.
2 years old.
Yeah, and I was taken out of Southern California. And what happened was they have a program. They can age advance a human body, and they can also, create clones. But in this initial case, they age advanced me over a period of, I'm guessing a few weeks. I don't exactly know. But over those few weeks, they age advanced me to about 25-ish, mid-20s, so that I had a young available body to be used. And that's not the only way they do that. They can grow clones as well. But then these devices and memory extraction, consciousness extraction works best if they use the original body. So if they don't have to extract you from that fully, then it's a more stable body and it'll last longer like it would normally. Even though it's age advanced, it's pretty much the same body. There's another way that they do that is, like I said, through cloning. And the reason they do that they do the cloning most often is because it's a lot less expensive. So if you want to know about the process of that age advancement.
Please. Yes, I'm very intrigued. How do you, if you remember, if you have data on how they remove the consciousness from a body, and how do you clone a body? First, do you have any memory or insights? How could they remove a consciousness from a body?
I don't know the final details, but I do know that the pineal gland has calcite crystals, and those calcite crystals create a piezoelectric energy, and that piezoelectric energy is the core of the human energy body. That's where it's located, and so that's where they can go in and they can basically shut off that electrical signal from the pineal gland, and then they can extract the energy left, which would be your soul and your consciousness and memories. So I can't explain the actual scientific process, but I know that's how they do it, is through the pineal gland.
Oh, God. And so the age how do you say?
Advancement.
How does this work? You know a bit about it?
I do have memory of it. It's horrific. I wouldn't do it if I had a choice, you know. They basically, there's a tube, you know, like a clear acrylic tube, large enough for that 2-year-old body to go into. Quite a bit larger, really, but there's a gel within this tube. It's like a very viscous pink, purplish kind of a gel, and that's a DNA-based gel. And that's also part of how the med beds work. They're all based in some of this gel. And this gel is extraordinarily expensive, but they grow the gel from your DNA. So when they first take a 2-year-old, for example, they extract DNA and then they grow gel from it so that you're encased within this tube of gel that is basically your DNA. Then they have a series of, I guess the best, you know, foreseen as needles that come in all around and connect to the body in certain areas. And then that is an internal injection of that same gel to make sure it gets to certain parts of the body so that it could grow evenly. But I was conscious when that process was done. So it's not a fun process.
And 2 years old.
That too.
2-year-old.
Yeah. And so that process, I was within that for several weeks. I don't know how long, because it takes a few weeks for the bodies to grow. And once that process is done, then you know you're removed. Now, one of the first jobs I had was working with consciousness and memory removal, and I remember using the DEEMS device. It looked pretty much exactly like this device with the to extract the memory. It looked very much like this with the lapis lazuli with the blue stone on it. That's what they would use. Something about the vibration of the lapis that helped them, but their DEEMS device wasn't magnetic. It was electric, and it was not real electrical. It was, you know, generated electricity through batteries and plugging it in. So it's very harsh to the body, you know, and so that's how they can separate that energy, the human base energy in the memory. And that's why this one DEEMS device won't do that, because it's that same piezoelectric magnetic energy that's in our brain. So it's compatible.
Yeah, it's not aggressive, not invasive. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And so it was just a period of time that's what I did, was help extract memory from other people that were leaving the program, you know. And part of my because I was in the program for 60 years, and I re-signed on it, you know. I re-signed twice, so I had the original signature and then 2 more times, and in that process of re-signing, you could negotiate your contract again and what you wanted in your retirement. You know, somehow you believe you're the one they're not going to erase your memory, and that your contract will be honored. So they convince you to this. But when I signed up for the final 20 years, after 40 years, I signed up for my final contract with them, and part of my agreement was a settlement for retirement financially, so I could retire nicely, and that I would bring the Deems device to the world. And they sat across from me and they said, "Oh yeah, sure, whatever." That was just kind of that attitude, whatever, very cavalier. Absolutely, we'll sign that contract. Well, they didn't expect me to remember, but I remember. In fact, I remember the contract number. And so that's what I'm doing. That's what the Deems device is honoring the contract that I had with the SSP to bring it to humanity, to be helpful and heal.
Yes, and you did. I'm very curious, for who were you working? Was it the Dark Fleet or something else? Do you remember?
The very beginning, I don't recall exactly who it was. I remember it was much more of a military complex at that time. It was within, because I would go back and forth for whatever reason from the Navy and the Air Force, US Air Force, and primarily the Navy, as far as I can recall. But then I ended up, I don't know if it was after the first run or when in my experience this was, but I ended up working more for the United Nations. And I became I don't want to say the word ambassador because I really wasn't, I would basically a representative of Earth, but I would sit within others that were negotiating contracts with other races, other, superior races. And for some reason, I was chosen because I could hear communication on a telepathic level, and I could communicate with quite a few different races. And because of that, I would be in the room as a mediator. And so if I could tell emotionally, if, from the other entities, if things were going well or not, and I could report back and say, you got to rethink this kind of scenario. And then they would send me messages. They would speak to me quite a lot in my mind without them knowing, obviously. I got the truth about what they felt, and I had to censor what I would say on both sides. And so it became kind of tricky. But through that process, I worked my way up where I actually spoke to the Confederation of Planets in the rings of Saturn. I have very, very vivid memories of that, speaking to many, many hundreds and hundreds of species. And them actually, what the SSP didn't know, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, I can't be the only one, that what they didn't know was that these certain races, I'm not going to call them out right now, were very helpful because they would put little switches in my mind. And they would say certain things that when I achieved a degree of certain memory, then a new memory would come in. So because they really wanted us to be conscious, as far as the human race, and they knew that we were being kind of controlled by our, military and by a few superiors.
Okay, so they got around your superiors, your earthling superiors, to by installing these memory activators in your mind. Could you describe physically these races, extraterrestrial races? You're not obliged to say names, but
sure,
just have an idea.
One of them that really put a lot of little switches in my mind because they were telling me they were doing it was they were about my height. I'm about 6'1", and they were all clones of one another. They were blue, like very translucent blue, and they had very straight white hair. And so the males all look the same, very, very, very similar, and the females all look the same. And I could speak very well with them, and we'd have conversations, while they were supposed to be negotiating. We were talking about something entirely different. So there's that race. There are other races that there are some that looked like a light blue, a very round head. In fact, they still visit with me. And there's a race that looked very much like a macaque or a monkey or something, but very dapper and beautiful and kind and loving. Very similar to Planet of the Apes. I hated to say that, but it is still very, very similar.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are other races that looked sort of like a combination of like a walrus maybe, or elephant seal, and a cobra, with the shape of the cobra's hood, but have the snout of a elephant seal. You know, there's quite a few. You know, I worked with some that looked very human, and so it was very common.
That's very interesting, because the races you describe, yes, I know of a race blue with white hair, but the other ones, especially the two last ones you described, with my experience in, which is not perfect in that topic, is they could come from another galaxy, because they are not in the usual races that we're used to see, people used to see, and or I've been described. And between Saturn and Jupiter, there's a portal, intergalactic portal. So maybe they could come from there, you know. That's just a supposition.
Well, I do know that
maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know that you are, because that sounds very accurate, because one of the races I know comes from what we call Andromeda.
Ah, here we go.
Yeah.
That's it.
And the third
so
planet, I forget what it was. I think it's the third planet from their primary sun, from that system. And I don't remember the name of the system right now, but I could probably pick it out. If we had a map of Andromeda, I could tell you where they are. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the constellation Andromeda, not the galaxy.
Correct. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, they could have been those of the Andromedan Council, because a lot of them are human with blue skin. So it could be them. And
those, in fact, their eyes are what is so extraordinary. They're very small eyes, very small. But when you look into them, it's as if you're looking into a galaxy. It's just stunning and mesmerizing.
Oh, I've shivers
so
when I say that. Wow.
So much love. I've drawn a number of these, actually, these beings. You know, so I'm working on that, you know, because I tell people about it, but it's really hard to conceive of it, you know.
So the people, the human programs you were working in, they had relationships with these extraterrestrials you just described. Did they have agreements, or maybe trading, or what was their relationship with these extraterrestrials? You remember?
Yeah, it was a lot of trade, trade. But also because we were expanding. You know, I think we have, if I recall, about 120 separate planets that we're on from Earth. And so we had to negotiate, you know, to be there in a lot of cases. Some of them were not occupied, but then they're in the territory of someone. Not that they claim that, if they're obviously a negative race would claim a planet, but if it's unoccupied, then we would contact the neighbors, you know, the closest occupied planet. And either we didn't know them or knew them. And so those had to be negotiated, those circumstances, whether or not we can go there and mine, whether or not we can build an outpost. And that was just that type of thing. You know, and then try to explain a lot of times our actions. This was a big one. You know, we're ultimately not that smart by comparison, you know, as far as just our human brain. We're equal on every other level, energy wise, but we haven't developed our brain in the same way that most of these races have. And so they feel a little bit like they have to dumb themselves down, you know, to talk to humans. And so I had, that was a big part of my purpose, was to make them okay with doing that, you know. And then I'm the same person right now that I was then. I have a pretty decent sense of humor. I don't take life too seriously. And so that translated a lot. And most of those races really appreciated that. They're like, yeah, you know, you don't take yourself too seriously. We like that.
I've noticed races quite more evolved in consciousness and in the evolution, you know, they have humor.
Mm.
They always have humor. As high as you go in evolution, humor remains, you
Because it's
know.
that vibration of joy.
I love that. Yeah.
It keeps them in that vibration.
Yeah, you mentioned the US Navy, the US Air Force. So it was definitely not the Dark Fleet, and the Dark Fleet would have never traded with the Andromedan Council, which I think.
Mm.
Does it resonate with you that some of these blue deities with blue skin were from the Andromedan Council? Does it resonate, or?
It does, yes. I mean, it feels right. I can't say it's a memory, but it feels right.
Yeah, that's interesting. So do you remember then interactions with the Galactic Federation? I mean, big motherships near Earth, where does that resonate?
It does. The main one that I always picture looks a lot like in Star Wars, what do you call it? The big giant moon looking one that we blew up in the first, you know, series 4, whatever. Darth Vader built it. That I'm going brain dead. But anyway, it looks basically
oh, yes.
a giant sphere.
Giant spheres. Oh my God. Yeah. The Andromedans have giant sphere ships.
That's what I was in a lot. Yeah.
Oh, that's it. So, that's quite unique, because it's the first time I hear, maybe it's true, I don't listen to all the SSP people, but it's the first time I hear of someone who has been involved in the SSP having interaction with the Andromedans. It's fantastic. It's very interesting.
I was led to believe I was fortunate.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
understood that. And because our vibration, my you know, who I am, I'm not a native human. So who I am is closer to that vibration of that race. So
Yes.
I think that's why I was chosen.
Yes, because you have the resonance, the soul, your soul has the frequency resonance to communicate with them. Yeah. Do you remember details in these sphere ships? What can you describe? What do you remember? What comes through your mind?
Well, immediately what comes to mind is looking down on Earth, you know, looking down at it through, I don't know that it was windows. I think it was probably projections, but looked like windows. Yeah. And everything looked like, okay, the new version, and I refer to movies a lot because a lot of sci-fi writers, I actually work with sci-fi writers, I help them with some information. And so because of that, I watch a lot of them. And there's a lot of them, they get truths a lot in movies. And I watch it and I'm like, that is so correct, you know, so accurate. And one of them that's really interestingly accurate with the Andromedans is A Hitchhiker's Guide to the Universe, the new version. It's very, very clean, very white and shiny. And you want something to appear, it'll appear kind of like out of the floor or out of the wall. You know, it just kind of happens. It's miraculous.
Alex Collier describes that too.
Yeah, you know, and so the walls open up and, you know, I know they got amusement out of my astounded nature. But I loved it. They loved it. So, you know, we got along very, very well.
Do you remember areas with gardens or nature in the ships?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of water, you know, like whether fountains or it was maybe a wall of water, just because they loved the water, you know, the flow, the ionization of that. And the air was always just I was in a coma for like 19 days and I was on oxygen and I didn't have to breathe because my body was getting oxygen. And it was very similar to that. It's like you didn't really have to breathe. You just remembered to breathe. Your body did, because you just absorbed all the oxygen you needed. I did, from the atmosphere. You know, so the breathing was like just an automatic thing, though it wasn't necessary. You know, it was very strange.
Yeah, yeah, it's strange. What I want to, oh, I had questions. I was just fascinated. Oh yeah. Did you remember having a special contact with special beings or interactions with particular beings that you were just having, you know, relationship, friendship, or do you remember particular?
There's one in particular, which may be the Andromedan. I can't recall, but the very round, blue-faced. His name was Jikdem, and he still visits. He still comes to say hi, you know, because we were very close, you know, and that was kind of like lovely. They kind of assigned him to me and me to him sort of scenario. And so we just became friends. We were friends for like 40 years, a very long time. Yeah.
Wow.
So
wow,
actually,
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, these stories, I'm convinced that when we go through these, we experience these stories, when we leave these bodies, what on earth we call death, which is not, we go there, we go back there with them.
Yes. Yeah, I remember.
I'm convinced of that. Yeah. We may have a clone body up there on a ship somewhere that's waiting, and I'm convinced of that. I believe that.
This is my fourth body since I was born in 1968.
Oh, wow.
This is a clone. Yeah.
Oh, can you explain? So how did that happen? Why 4 bodies?
I was in an accident at one point and I had to be repaired. And because of the sensitive nature of my information and the people I worked with, it was easier to maintain a clone in an emergency. And so that would be my second body. The first one was I was born in and they age advanced it and I lived for 20 whatever years, I don't remember. And then I was at a place that they would try to either repair me, which they could have done, or because it was probably time sensitive, they just put me in a new body. And so they put me in a new body because they kept like one of like or similar age, you know, available in stasis. And then I signed my final contract after 40 years. They basically, part of this is total vanity, I'm sure. Part of my negotiation for the new contract was I want to go back to 25, you know, for this last 20 years. And they're like, fine. I mean, it was easy to them. They had it in storage. So then that would be my fourth. So this is my fourth body. Okay. Wow. Yeah. And so the fourth body is the one that they put in at the 2-year-old, you know, and so they take the 2-year-old clone and return it back, you know, to where they took me. And so that is this body that grew up, you know, on Earth. So that's the fourth. Okay. That's fascinating. And so you were not meant to remember, correct? You were not meant to remember. No. But you did because your friends, or even this friend just made it so that you would remember. Yeah. Is that it? Yeah. I mean, there's one time specifically we were in Saturn on that the ship in the rings in the 8th density, I think is where it was. And I was escorted by 4 other, I think they were UN. You would call them guards or soldiers. And I don't think I was in that same outfit that they were. I remember their patch, which you can't find. I had to draw it out because I'm like, nobody has that patch on Earth that I've found anyway. Okay. And we were having a discussion about, we were lamenting the fact that we can't share with our family and the people we love back on Earth are amazing experiences. How sad is it that we can't remember these things, or we are going to have our memories erased? I'm still thinking that they're not going to do it because that was part of my contract, but tricky people. So we were standing there, and I just said to the group, I said, I'm going to remember. And then some guy spoke up and said, no, you're not. I'm like, oh, absolutely I am. And then just at that moment, 3 of these, the blue entities were coming through a doorway, and he was right here, and he looked at me right when I said, no, I'm going to. And he looked straight at me and telepathically says, and I know you will. And so that I've had that memory since I was a little kid.
Wow. Wow.
So I have a lot of those disjointed, weird memories, but yeah.
Do you remember the reason? Well, the activities of the secret space program organization, be it the Navy or the US Air Force? What were their activities? What were they doing? What their main activities?
Well, it's so incredibly compartmentalized.
Okay.
That whenever they would escort me, or I would be moved from one place to another, I would either be put to sleep, in a stasis, or in just sleeping pill kind of thing, and they would move me. But when I do remember a lot of the travel from place to place, if I was awake, I remember some ships, being in, but mostly they're like long white halls and tiny white rooms that have nothing in them really, except for maybe a table. If they were gonna remove my memory, I remember the second prior to they took my memory, and I'm sitting on the stainless steel table in a tiny white room, and there was 2 people in there. And I told them, says, I'm going to remember. They're like, no, you're not. I'm telling you guys, I'm going to remember.
It's like Tony Rodriguez, same scenario. It's
no,
funny.
you're not.
That's great.
And they, that's the last thing I remember. So it's like, I told you guys. So it's very compartmentalized, and it's difficult to know. And they didn't want me or others to know what other people were doing, because it was
what was your status? You were not a slave, you were a worker. But what was your status, work status or social there?
I don't remember my final status. I know that I was referred to as ambassador. They called me ambassador a lot, but I don't think I technically was. I don't remember. I don't say things that I don't remember specifically. I remember being called ambassador. I don't remember being an ambassador as far as title, but I remember doing all the ambassadorial work. I get very technical about that, but
no, it's I like the technical questions because it helps understand. To me, what makes sense, if it resonates with you, because these people in who run the secret space programs, they have the technology to see if you are a starseed, if your soul comes from somewhere else, and they pick people for that, regarding to that most of the time, because they know they will have skills. I would say maybe you are an Andromedan soul, and you were picked because you can communicate with them, with these species. That's why you were ambassador or representative or whatever the title you want to remember. Does it make sense to you?
It does. There's still some fuzziness to it, and I kind of like that there's some fuzziness to it, because it keeps me seeking, keeps me trying to find out and find new memories, so currently it's still a bit fuzzy, but I know I'm very, very close with that race, but I'm also very close with the race of Ra from Venus as well. And so I know those 2 races I'm the closest to, and there've been quite a few times I was not quite sure, what my native race is, and so I kind of vacillate back and forth.
Yes. When we incarnate in some specific races, it leaves an imprint in your soul, and you keep it. You know, it's like not a stain, but an imprint, and it's still there. So you feel sometimes you can be this race inside, or sometimes you can be another one, because it has imprinted your being as through the incarnations, you know. I know I have been incarnated as an Eggaroth before being in the Pleiades, and it was such a powerful frequency that sometimes I can retune in my Eggaroth frequency, you know. But souls are souls; they don't belong to any races. But sometimes, you know, so maybe, yeah, it's kind of
DNA imprint, you know.
Yeah.
So I think between those two races, in fact, I could have been one and then also incarnated as another, because that's very common, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You know, my I call it my star father, Anax. He's an Eggaroth, but in fact, his last incarnation was Ohorai on Arcturus, like an Arcturian, and so he's an Arcturian star seed in an Eggaroth body. That's so funny, and that's, you know, that's it. You can incarnate in different bodies and be previously from another species, and so it's a very enriching when you tune in with your being, and you can reconnect with the different extraterrestrial frequencies that you have inhabited. Wow, you know, yes, that's exactly
and it's just so layered. And then the more I learn, I don't know. The more I want to know.
Yes.
You know.
Thorhan told me one day, we don't tell you who you are, where you come from, because you need to remember, because remembering is activating.
Yes.
So exactly that.
Yeah. I agree.
So you were an ambassador or representative or emissary, I like this term, between US Navy and space, US Air Force, that's it, programs.
Yeah, more for the United Nations on the ambassadorial.
Oh, United Nations.
Yeah.
Okay.
More for them, but I was escorted by either the United Nations, and sometimes, you know, our group of 5 was escorted by the Navy or the US Air Force. So I was interacting constantly.
Do you remember the ships that were escorting you? The shape?
They were very long, very huge. I mean, as large as cities. And I do remember some of the interior of that just basically looked like a battleship in a lot of ways. You know, because that's all they kind of knew how to build, you know, just build a battleship on Earth or up in space. You know.
When you say long, very long, were they like cigar shapes?
No, they were,
No?
they looked like a jet, like a really thin jet, you know, not as wide, not such big wings, but more linear and kind of pointed at one end. And there was this thing about, you know, I always kind of wondered, we're in space. You don't need to have that shape to travel through space. But they're like, no, we use that to go down to other planets that have atmosphere. So they needed that shape for that.
Yeah, very interesting. Oh, so do you have memories to go on other planets?
I have more flashes, like single snapshots, that I haven't really, I haven't focused on remembering those times yet. You know, and because there's been a lot of negative stuff that happened as well, and I don't focus on those at all, because that's not the vibration of this memory that I'm attempting to achieve. You know, because I'm working on trying to bring this more positive thing into the world, and so because I've chosen not to focus on certain memories, a lot of those different planets, so I know that they existed and I could kind of tell you where they are from here, sort of thing. And I feel like it's not the right time for me to really focus on too many other planets, but I do know there's well over 100 separate planets that human earthlings, you know, are on or have been on, you know, for one reason or another, quite often for the extraction of, you know, minerals, or, you know, there's actually a planet opposite the Earth on the other side of the sun that nobody really knows about. That is a planet that they use quite a bit for building these ships. That's where a lot of that material comes from. They don't draw it off of Earth. That's why we don't see giant ships pulling, steel and ore and stuff off of the planet. They're taking it from the other planet, the opposite of the Earth. We never see it because we're locked in the gravitation of the sun.
Interesting. Wow. And so to come to the DIMS device, so you were as well, beside being an emissary, working with this device. Was it in the same time as you were an emissary or ambassador, or was it a different contract, one after the other?
It was the first contract. It was that first 20 years within that period. So one of my first jobs were, and I think they did that as a part of my training to understand how to communicate with other entities more. If I can understand the process of separating not just all memories, but certain memories from the human brain, then I could understand how our brain worked in a way that I could maybe communicate better. So it was important that I worked with, removing memories. And then I also worked with, a few people that were injured and they were trying to put them in a med bed and heal their body and try to get them back. And so sometimes we would have to take that consciousness out and put in a storage device that was kind of looked like when you give if you go to a fertilization clinic and you give semen or an egg and it gets put into a freezer, it's sort of like that, where it's like it put in a deep freeze type of state, but it's not the deep freeze of cold. It's a frequency. So it feels cold, but it's really a frequency. And so it holds that frequency in a stabilized manner.
Wow, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, so let's talk about this, because I have finally received it. People have followed my adventures trying to receive this DIMS device from you since June 2021, was it?
Quite a few months.
You live in beautiful Hawaii.
Yes.
And I live in miserable, wet, cold Ireland.
I'm sure it's
quite
beautiful.
a way. It's beautiful as well. It's beautiful as well. Just you've got to like rain. Anyway, it's beautiful. And you've been sending it to me like 4 times. That's the 5th time. That's the 5th time I received. There was something. It was coming to Ireland, and once in Dublin, it was stopped and sent back to you. I think you tried it 3 times. Then I gave you an address in England. Did the same.
And all the other ones from England went through.
Oh my God, you were sending DIMS device all over the world, in Australia, all over the world. Yeah. It was working quickly and very well, not me. So a guy saw my post on YouTube and he said, oh, he contacted you. He said, I live near Elena, send it to me. And that's how it worked. Thank you, Sean Mullins.
Yes, thank you very much, Sean. Greatly appreciate you.
Sean, you are part of the great story that we're all going through. You are a piece of the puzzle, and Sean, thank you, because I met Sean in my little fishing village in Ireland, and we had this chat about you, about the device, and he wanted to see it, so we opened it, and thank you. So I wanted to try it on myself. I'm going to let you explain how it works, but as soon as I got it, there's an aura, there's a magnetism to it that is very powerful. There's a magnetic field that you can see, you can feel it. Even the parcel was like, and you approach it to your body as like wow. So please, Chris, tell us about this amazing thing.
Well, this particular device
Yeah.
is fully magnetic, like you said. There's a series of 14 magnets. They run down this direction and come back down, and they run this way and then around this ring magnet. And the design of it is a combination of what's called the Baghdad Battery, which is an ancient battery that they've found, as I know you know, being an archaeologist, because it's battery that was a copper tube with iron rod in the center, and then they would create a piezoelectric type of energy, or similar to piezoelectric energy, and then they would use it. Well, in my information given to me was for pain relief and for energy balancing, just like the DEEMS device. So the DEEMS device is made from a copper tube, and it's separated in the center by an iron rod, so it has the same. The Baghdad battery used like water, vinegar, some sort of acid, to create an energy, the things. Well, I was told that we can't use any of that. Since we're using magnets, they're already powerful, use beeswax. So it's filled with beeswax once the insert is put in, and the beeswax gives it a human component, gives it an organic component, so that all these metals working with one another now have a vibration of beeswax, that gives it a very gentle, energy vibration. And so, and then as that energy comes around the ring magnet, this magnet is polarized this direction, which is why it's marked on one side. And that mark indicates the direction that this magnet's pushing this energy as it comes around. So as it comes around, it pushes it out. So it creates a vortex. So the energy is not just emanating, it's vortex out. And so it's the vortex that is basically an interdimensional 0 point energy. And that's why it works as well as it works, because it's that same energy that our soul is based on, and then so it's completely compatible with the human body. And then so what happens is our body will use whatever it needs to heal, whether it's physical body, spiritual, energy body. Our body knows what it needs, but this just gives it a lot more energy to work with. And so you can use it for protection. You can heal your body physically, whatever you need, and so I use it both directions. If I want to add energy, then you would want that side that's marked aiming toward you. So if you want to just kind of like you have arthritis or something, you just want to do that. You just want to put energy into your body that way. But also you can flip it over and you can draw energy out of your body as well. And what that does is it pulls negativity out generally because it's not compatible. And so and your body will naturally draw in new, fresh energy that surrounds us all the time. The electromagnetic field of the earth, and also universal energy is constantly being drawn into our body. But this will just basically cause that to happen much faster.
Wow. And so you can use it like, yes, to remove bad energies, like the mark is out the opposite side of the body,
right.
And you can just do like this, and I suppose you can feel it, because maybe the magnetic charge that the cat this cat is addicted to this thing. Okay, she's coming for it. Amazing. Feels it. And yeah, you can use it. I suppose you can feel when you remove something from the body. Do you think you can? I haven't tried it to remove something negative, but I think big distraction. I suppose you can feel it in the energy field.
Yeah, if you're sensitive to energy, you can really feel it. I was just in LA at an expo with thousands of people, and I'm just letting people hold it. And we're talking people that said, I've never felt energy in my life. And they're like, I can feel it flowing through my feet or my hands or coming out of my shoulders. I'm like, yeah, it does that. You know?
Yes. Oh yes, yes. My cat goes and sleeps on it. It's like, it's amazing. Wait, it's just like, get down, go down. Just for the public, that's here she is.
She sees you holding that device.
Yes. The other one comes. Oh, I'm sorry for that. That's like,
No, not at all. I love it. I love it. I have a couple
oh,
of
stop
veterinarian.
you two now. Stop. Whoops, stop you two. Stop. Come on. That's enough now. Oh, look at that. Ooh. Oh, that's nice. Oh, it smells. Yes. Smells energies. Now. Well, yes, and what else can you tell us about the uses of this device that we
You know,
can?
it's interesting because people are using it for things I never even considered. You know, when I started building it, I'm just like, I knew it was just going to be helpful, no matter, you know, whether it was going to physically heal somebody or help them balance their chakras to get a greater connection. But I have people coming back. There's this one doctor that I think she's a therapist that says she uses it on her patients, and a lot of them aren't depressed for like a week at a time. And other people that are using it on, like Reiki masters that are using it on their clients, just saying that it's just amplified the energy that they, you know, that they use so much. I was literally working with my niece in Texas, and I could literally feel her bones moving and healing. I mean, I could feel it. We were both completely still, you know, and I could feel her spine moving, you know, and then she was basically healed from that point on, you know, and I'm not going to claim the device is going to do that for everybody, but it did for her. You know, it's going to do what it needs to do for each person, you know.
Yes.
And a young woman whose child is autistic that uses it for him, that he's able to focus better. He loves it. He'll just sleep with it, you know, he'll carry it around during the day. And she says he's very calm and he seems very happy when he's using it. And it's just, you know, I have friends using it for helping with memory and depression. People that have used it for, especially for pain relief, that have I get emails, and there's a lot of reviews online too on my website, that people have left and just, it just seems very miraculous, you know, like the things that our bodies are supposed to be doing that they haven't been. So we're not accustomed to our bodies healing in such what seems to be such a miraculous way, you know. And so that's why I'm so grateful about it, because I'm still learning about what this thing is doing for other people, you know. It's pretty amazing.
See, you had the memory of it. What does DEEMS mean, please?
Oh, I started my journey trying to, you know, share spiritually through a podcast called Divine Evolution. And so during a meditation prior to a podcast, I had this memory download. And so I naturally wanted to call it, you know, based on divine evolution, because that's really where my heart truly lies, is in helping people through information. And so I call it the divine evolution, and it's electromagnetic. It creates electromagnetic energy. So it's the divine evolution electromagnetic micro singularity device. So DEEMS.
Okay, thank you. That's the vortex phenomenon is very interesting. You're going to have Dan Winter interested in this thing. It's only two vortexes and stuff. So you use it as well with crystals.
I do.
Crystal pyramids.
I do.
Tell us about that.
I started using, and just as a caveat, you don't need to use any crystals with the device. It is standalone. I like the crystals for people that are doing energy work, because the best way for your body to heal is for your chakra system, your energy centers to be balanced, so that energy doesn't have to go to a chakra or energy system. It can go to healing your body, so it can just flow through naturally. And so because of the energy balancing, and because of the way our energy body is built in connection to our physical body through our nervous system, which is electrical, each stone has a slightly different vibration. And so if one were to look up the meridians of the body, and you have a condition, say in the solar plexus area, that may also be connected to maybe the left shoulder or that kind of thing, then you would choose that stone that's associated with it, because it has a vibration you can target that area. And so that's the purpose of the crystals, is to just basically tune the DEEMS device into something more specifically that you need.
So what are the crystals, the specific crystals that you also sell with the DEEM device for people who want to work with these crystals?
Yeah, I make a I make a set of the basic chakra crystals, and what we start with is like the root chakra, and we go from the root to the sacral to the solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, and then crown. So that's what these stones are. And so each one of them, I embed these little, there you go. These have 4 that I've rebuilt those. This is a new generation. So now we have them as 4 little ball bearings. Had a little trouble. I'm learning about electromagnetism with this device and the planet, because they clearly interact.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I've been finding that with the ones that you have, Elena, with the magnets in them, will react to your location, and they may not work perfectly. So I'm like, okay, we got to fix this. So instead, I removed the magnets and just put in little stainless steel ball bearings so that they'll snap right on. And the other sets, they can fight with it a little bit because of your location. So, but now they're much more stable. And so they just snap right on, and they come right off. You can do it on either side, but really the action side is going to be that vortex side. So when that vortex comes through, it comes through the crystal, and it takes on the vibration of whatever crystal you're using. And so it's like coming out as a vortex this way. And then you just take it off if you just want to use it for any other general purpose.
I really feel it's like a laser. When
Yes.
I put it, it feels like, oh God.
Be careful.
I know. It's like a laser. I mean, it's like you could, like, very surgical. It's impressive. And then you have, I suppose, the properties of the crystal, different stones that are going to be increased by the vortex.
Yes.
And you'll have the property of the stone just going to the skin or the aura.
Right. Which is good to know if, for, I have on the website, I have some documents that anybody can just download for free. One is the acupuncture, acupressure sites, and then the meridians of the body. And so it's good to have those documents, because you can tell the meridians are color coded. So you just use the associated crystal with whatever portion of the body you're wanting to work on. So if you have like a physical ailment, you want to use that crystal in that area.
Okay, so you use the acupuncture points, well, on the meridians, and you work on them.
Yeah.
There's so many possibilities.
Oh, there's so many. And what I love about this, Elena, is that acupuncture is very effective and positive, but it's intrusive to the body. It doesn't allow the body to make the change on its own, where this does that. Like, you felt that energy when you touch, you put it near you. Imagine that as not being a needle, but just providing the energy your body needs in that location. And you're not forcing the body to do anything. You're allowing the body to do what it chooses to do. And that's the important difference with this device.
So I can experience, because I want to wait to have it. When I take this amethyst pyramid, I just put it on my body, and I don't really feel anything particular. I know the amethyst is working in my energy field. I put it on the right side on it. I can feel the amethyst, the energy on my skin. Then I feel it, and it goes a little bit inside, but not as the other one. The other one was, I think it was, it's carnelian stone. Jasper. Jasper was very powerful, like going in. And this is very calming and healing. And I find the device increases the properties of the stones, and it's like soothing. It's like even nice, So depending on,
try
the amethyst.
With the device, see what that feels like real quick, because I bet you're gonna really
with the amethyst or without?
Yes, with the amethyst.
With the amethyst. With the marked. Okay. Oh my God. It's like, oh my God, I feel it. It's like it's going inside of my skull. It's like I see the circle inside. Ooh.
And now flip it over.
Like this?
Yes.
Like this?
Yes.
I feel like drawn.
Yes.
Like this, like if I'm going to go out of my body. Oh wow. It's like I could go out of my body like this. Whew.
That's why I tell people not to use this device for more than 30 minutes to an hour until they know how their body's going to react. And certain people will react like you react very immediately. Others may take a little while.
Depends on your energy, I suppose.
Yes.
And so you have a website where, because you need to know how to use it. So you have a website.
Yeah. Well,
where you explain that.
I have my deemscompany.com that goes to, I have a catch-all site. I do everything myself, so I haven't had time to create a whole new website right now. But if you go to deemscompany.com, there's a video basically that explains on a more scientific level how the device works. And you can go to that YouTube from there. Divine Evolution YouTube, you could go straight there if you wanted. It's Divine Evolution 777 is the website on YouTube. There's my YouTube channel. And then there's quite a few videos on there that explain it and kind of give you a little bit more. I'm still working on learning what it does. And as I learn more, I'll create more videos.
Thank you. And I suppose you have feedback from people who try it.
Yes. If you go to, again, deemscompany.com and you go to the shop, like, as if you select the Deems device to purchase it. But prior to purchase, there are like 20 or some reviews, I think, that are on there currently. And some of them are very touching.
Well, I want to offer my testimony. My cat had, she had lumps on her belly. And I approached that, and she was enjoying it, and I was passing that on her belly, and it disappeared after maybe a few days. I did that. It's gone. It's gone. And she sleeps on it. She loves it. She loves it. Of course, I brought her to the vet as well, to be sure. But this really did the job. It's amazing.
Yeah, it does. And there's no placebo effect with animals, They either it works or it doesn't.
Yes, yes. So yes, lapis lazuli. Oh, they are back. Yes. That's so funny. Yeah. Well, I'm going to put all the links in the description box of this video to find your videos, your explanations, and where to buy the device. So it's handmade, you're on your own. You do that yourself?
Yeah, I do everything myself. I handcraft each one.
Handcrafted in Hawaii with love.
Very much filled with love. In fact, I had to move to this island specifically, Kauai, because Kauai is vibrating at fourth density level. And so I had to build them in that vibrational atmosphere so that they would work the way they're supposed to work. So that's why I'm here, is to build these devices. And I love it. Hard to complain.
That was probably your mission. Well, one of your missions here,
Yeah.
but a big one.
I mean, I made it a point to tell the SSP I was going to do it. So I must have had motivation somewhere.
Yes, yes. You remind me of Tony Rodriguez a bit. Yeah, I'm going to remember. No, you won't. Yes, I will. I need it.
Maybe not right away, but you do.
Would you say this technology was used in the secret space programs, was given by extraterrestrials or invented on Earth?
No, it was given. It was one of the many things they traded. I'm familiar with it being around for a few million years from Venus. Because it was used in, well, the Ankh is based after it as well. So this is based after the Ankh, and the way the Ankh kind of focuses in on source energy. There you go. In fact, my next product is an Ankh that is an energy generator. So.
Oh, you have me interested, and
yeah.
Plenty of people, I suppose, oh my God, yes. Which is interesting that, because I'm an Egyptologist, and I remember when the gods, the higher beings, give life energy or life force to other people, the kings, they hold it like this by the loop. Yeah, by the loop. So it's interesting. It's like the vortex is in the hand, and they.
Yeah, what the next product is. But it's got a certain mixture of quartz and magnets within the handle, and it's under pressure, creating a piezoelectric energy. So what this literally creates its own energy all by itself. So, but it's very similar to the DEEMS device, but it's a lot more powerful. And it creates, it doesn't create it, it focuses source energy better than the DEEMS does, simply by the way you described how it's held, because you hold it by the loop. And I could put, you know, a long piece at the bottom, you know, create a T, but the way I'm building it just across with the loop, it's intended to put across the human body for healing. It's because otherwise you're focusing it too strongly, and so your body may not use it correctly. So we'll just keep it flat at the bottom, and then, but you know, we'll talk about that in a few months when that's closer.
Yes. So I really recommend it. I really want to test it and to have it, and I am not disappointed at all. I really love it. The cats love it. And I mean, I feel there's a potential, you know, amazing potential with it. I remember when I was, you know, when I was abducted and rescued when I was a child. I was abducted by Grace and rescued by people from the Galactic Federation. The medic lady on the ship that rescued me, she used not one of these, but it was a handle. There wasn't, it wasn't like this. There was a disc across, like this, like a disc across. And then there was a crystal point. Okay. There was a disc across, like, you know, the glass mat size.
Okay.
And she was working on removing the implant and healing me with that. And it was very interesting. It was like a laser. And it's funny, the disc was like reflector. I don't know what it was, but
It's
it
like,
was like this.
I was going to ask you if it was metallic, because then it would be a
Metallic,
reflector.
yes.
Yeah, so I'm sure it was a reflector, energy going through and then coming out, but then also being amplified at the same time. You know, and so it's like, it was probably creating a vortex, that disc. It's probably creating a vortex of energy right in front of it, because you have
And the
energy coming
crystal
straight
point.
out. Yeah, and that crystal. That's fascinating. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And it was really like a surgical instrument. But she never touched me. She never made contact with my skull. It was at certain distance. It was very interesting. So really thank you for bringing this to the world. Disclosure, technology. You have great protection from the Andromedans, and especially your friend, probably your soul group, you think this person is?
Yes, that feels very much like that. You know, so I greatly appreciate the platform. You know, my true desire is to fulfill my contract and bring it to the human race, you know, and it's truly not about making money. I give a lot of them away as much as I can. And because I just want them to be out working in the world, you know, and some of the customers that I've had have been amazing. They'll pay more than the price. They're like, we love what you're doing. Thank you so much. Pass this on to somebody that needs it. So like, I'm not the only one that gets it. I mean, a lot of people understand the gravity of this device. And I'm so grateful, so grateful.
We are grateful. I'm grateful that you succeeded in this mission, and I really want to support you, and I'm sure many people will want to, and it's actually, it's part of the disclosure technology. You know, you were chosen to do that.
Yes.
Go into these programs, experience it, learn how to use it, and then bring it back.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yes, it truly is. And with the help of the Andromedans, that's even more magical.
Yeah, they're pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So I appreciate your time.
Well, Chris, thank you so much. You find all the links, people, in the description box of this video. I put a link on my website as well. Share. And as last words, because I always ask my guests to give an advice of guidance to humanity for these times, what would you say, please?
Oh, learn how to love despite the circumstances. And if you can't love, accept. And it will become love. Tell somebody every single day, I love you, especially if they're a stranger.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris O'Connor. Thank you.
Thank you, Elena.